Welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's insane story, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. I love seeing our global community grow. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now because the stories we tell here will absolutely blow your mind. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens in today's story. They found $22 million hidden inside a casino. For 3 years, everyone walked past it every single day. Thousands of people. Security guards. Managers. Even the FBI during a routine inspection in 2021. And the person who stole it? He was invisible. So invisible that when they arrested him, half the casino staff didn't even know his name. His name was Jerome Walsh. 57 years old. Night shift janitor. Earned $13.50 an hour. And he pulled off one of the most sophisticated casino heists in history with nothing but a mop bucket, a maintenance key, and an understanding of human psychology that would make a PhD jealous. But here's what makes this case truly haunting. The money was hidden in the one place every security expert says you should never overlook. And yet, for 3 years in a building with 847 cameras, not one person noticed. Because Jerome understood something the rest of us forgot. The best hiding place isn't somewhere secret. It's somewhere so obvious your brain refuses to see it. Let me take you back to where this started. March 14, 2019. The Mirage Palace Casino in Atlantic City hired a new night janitor. His resume showed 15 years of custodial experience. Clean background check. Quiet references. Exactly the kind of employee who blends into the background. That was Jerome Walsh. But what the hiring manager didn't know was that Jerome had another life before this. He'd been an accountant. A good one. Made 6 figures, owned a house, had a family. Then 2008 happened. The financial crash took everything. His savings, his home, his marriage, his relationship with his 2 kids. By 2019, Jerome was 54 years old, living in a 400-square-foot studio apartment, and applying for a job that paid barely above minimum wage. Nobody remembers interviewing him. I checked the HR files personally. There's a start date, but no interview notes. No hiring manager signature. It's like he appeared out of thin air. And looking back, maybe that was the point. For the first 8 months, Jerome was exactly what every manager wants in an employee. Always on time for his 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. shift. Never called in sick. Never complained. Worked quietly, efficiently, kept to himself. I interviewed 17 people who worked at the Mirage Palace during Jerome's first year. Only 6 remembered seeing him. And when I asked them to describe him, they all said the same thing. Oh, the janitor? Yeah, I guess I've seen him around. That's it. 3 years of walking past this man 5 nights a week, and the best description anyone could give was, I guess I've seen him. In a casino, everyone watches the players. Everyone watches the dealers. Everyone watches the money. But who watches the janitor? Jerome had studied this. For 8 months, he didn't steal a single dollar. He was learning something far more valuable. Routines. He mapped every security camera blind spot. He learned guard rotation schedules down to the minute. He understood waste management protocols, maintenance procedures, shift changes, and traffic patterns. Month 9 is when everything changed. But you'd never know it by watching him. Jerome realized something that security experts spend millions trying to prevent. Casino trash was never thoroughly inspected. Security guards check bags and pockets going out the door. But trash bags going to the compactor? Those barely got a glance. In November 2019, Jerome ran a test. He accidentally dropped a $100 bill into a trash bag. Then he walked past 3 security checkpoints carrying that bag. Nobody stopped him. Nobody checked. Nobody cared. That's when Jerome understood. He'd found his tunnel. But stealing from trash cans wasn't going to make him rich. He needed access to real money. And that's when he noticed something everyone else had stopped seeing. The slot machines. Every night, between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., something happens in every casino in America. Slot machines get serviced and emptied. Technicians pull the cash boxes, count the money, document everything, and take it to the counting room. It's standard procedure. Happens 365 days a year. Boring. Routine. Invisible. Jerome noticed a 7-minute window between when the cash boxes were pulled and when they reached the counting room. During that window, they sat on service carts in maintenance corridors, waiting for the next technician to move them along. And Jerome's cleaning route put him in those corridors during that exact window. But Jerome didn't steal from the cash boxes. That would be too obvious. Any missing money would trigger immediate investigation. Instead, he discovered something brilliant. A gap in the casino's own accounting system. Slot machines track money digitally. Money in versus money out. But the physical cash count happens separately, by hand, in the counting room. If there's a discrepancy between digital and physical, casinos assume it's a player payout error or a machine malfunction. It happens all the time. Jerome's technique was mathematically perfect. He would take $3,000 to $5,000 from a single cash box. Not enough to trigger immediate alarm. Then he'd replace that exact weight with rolled coins from the janitorial supply closet. The cart would weigh the same, look the same, feel the same if you moved it. By the time the counting room discovered the swap, that cart had passed through 4 different employees' hands. The technician who pulled it, the maintenance worker who moved it, the security guard who escorted it, the counter who opened it. Blame was distributed across 4 people. None of them had clear responsibility. And none of them would ever suspect the janitor who'd been mopping the floor when the cart rolled past. Over 3 years, Jerome did this 247 times. And not once did anyone suspect the janitor. If you're enjoying the story so far, do me a favor and hit that like button. It helps more people discover these incredible stories. And drop a comment below telling me, would you have noticed Jerome? Be honest. Most of us wouldn't have. Now, here's where Jerome's plan gets absolutely insane. By January 2022, Jerome had stolen $22.3 million. And the question becomes, where do you hide $22 million in cash? You can't put it in a bank. That gets traced immediately. You can't rent a storage unit. That looks suspicious. You can't keep it at home. Too risky. If you're robbed, if there's a fire, if police get a tip, it's all over. Jerome's solution was so audacious, it took investigators 6 months to believe it. He hid it in the casino itself. Inside the ceiling tiles of the maintenance supply closet. The same closet he accessed every single night. The same closet that security never checked because it was just cleaning supplies. He'd remove ceiling tiles, place vacuum-sealed bags of money into the cavity above, and arrange them to look like old insulation and ductwork. Even if someone glanced up with a flashlight, it looked like building materials that had been there for decades. The safest place to hide stolen casino money is inside the casino. It's so obvious, it's invisible. But Jerome made one mistake. One tiny error that would unravel everything. And it had nothing to do with the heist itself. February 2022. A new casino comptroller named Angela Reyes started her first day at the Mirage Palace. Angela's background was IRS auditing. She was obsessive about patterns, numbers, anomalies. The kind of person who notices when something is 0.4% off and can't let it go. Her first week on the job, she noticed something strange. Slot machine revenue was down 0.4% year over year, despite foot traffic being up 12%. 0.4%. Most people would call that statistical noise. Margin of error. Nothing to worry about. But Angela couldn't let it go. The math didn't make sense. She pulled 3 years of slot machine variance reports and started building spreadsheets. And that's when she saw it. A pattern. Machines in section C3 consistently underperformed. Not every machine. Not every night. But there was a pattern. A rhythm. When she showed this to the casino manager, he laughed. 0.4%? Angela, we lose more than that to paying jackpots. Don't waste your time. But Angela didn't laugh. She pulled security footage. For 2 weeks, Angela came in after hours and reviewed surveillance footage alone. Because she knew if she was wrong, she'd look paranoid. Obsessive. Like someone who couldn't let go of insignificant details. She tracked service carts through the maintenance corridors. She noted timing. On average, service carts entered Corridor B at 2:47 a.m. They exited at 2:51 a.m. For minutes. But 3 times per week, the carts exited at 2:58 a.m. 7 minutes. And on those 7-minute nights, a janitor was always in the corridor. He appeared to be cleaning, emptying trash. Normal behavior. But Angela noticed something nobody else had. His cleaning cart was always positioned to block the camera angle at a specific spot. She couldn't see what he was doing, but she knew he was doing something. Angela did something that violated every protocol in her employee handbook. She installed a hidden camera in the supply closet. No permission, no authorization, just her, a wireless camera, and a hunch. March 3, 2022, at 2:51 a.m., that hidden camera captured everything. Jerome enters the corridor with his cleaning cart. He positions it carefully, checks over his shoulder, then approaches the service cart. He opens one of the cash boxes. His movements are smooth, practiced. He removes banded stacks of bills, maybe $4,000. He replaces the weight with rolled quarters from his cart, closes the box, continues down the corridor. Then he does something that made Angela's heart stop. He carries the cash to the supply closet. He climbs a small stepladder. He removes a ceiling tile. And he places the money into a hidden cavity above. Total time: 4 minutes, 18 seconds. Angela went back through months of footage. That insulation in the ceiling had been growing for 3 years. She did the math. If this happened 2 to 3 times per week for 3 years, at an average of $4,000 per theft, $20 to $25 million. Angela called the police at 6 a.m. By 10 a.m., SWAT was planning their entry. But what they found in that ceiling would shock even seasoned detectives. March 4, 2022. Jerome arrived for his shift at 10 p.m., exactly on time, like he had for 3 years. Police were waiting in the surveillance room. They let him work for 2 hours, documenting everything, building an airtight case. At 12:47 a.m., Jerome approached the service cart in Corridor B. The moment he opened the cash box, 8 officers moved in from both ends of the corridor. Jerome didn't run, didn't fight, didn't resist. He just stood there, hands visible, completely calm. His only words were, "I knew it would end eventually." But when police opened that supply closet ceiling, even they weren't prepared for what they found. Inside the ceiling was an engineering marvel. $22.3 million in vacuum-sealed bags. But it wasn't just thrown up there randomly. It was organized. By date. By denomination. By machine number. Jerome had kept records of every single theft. The money was arranged like a library. Color-coded by month. Cataloged with small handwritten tags. Preserved perfectly in airtight bags. One detective even said, "It was the most organized crime scene I've ever seen." This guy treated stolen money like museum artifacts. Police found Jerome's notebooks in his locker. Detailed logs. Mathematical calculations. Future projections. And that's when they realized something that made this case go from theft to something far stranger. Jerome was planning to steal exactly $25 million. Not a dollar more. Then he was going to disappear. He was 12 weeks away from his target number. But there was something else in those notebooks. Something that made prosecutors pause. In the back of Jerome's final notebook, police found a list. Names, addresses, dollar amounts. His ex-wife, $5 million. His 2 estranged children, $3 million each. Children's hospitals, $8 million. Financial crash victims relief fund, $3 million. The remaining $3 million was marked legal fees and distribution costs. Jerome wasn't stealing for himself. He was building what he called a redistribution fund for people hurt by the 2008 financial crash, including his own family, who he felt he'd failed. In his mind, casinos profited from desperate people, from gambling addicts, from people chasing impossible dreams. He was taking from the house and giving to the victims. Then investigators found medical records in his apartment. Jerome had stage 3 pancreatic cancer, diagnosed 18 months earlier. The doctors gave him 8 to 12 months to live. He wasn't planning to spend a single dollar on himself. He was going to die and leave instructions for anonymous distributions to everyone on his list. But the law doesn't care about Robin Hood motives. Jerome Walsh was charged with 73 federal counts of theft, fraud, and conspiracy. His trial began in September 2022. It lasted 3 weeks. The prosecution's case was open and shut. 247 documented thefts, security footage, recovered money, detailed notebooks. Jerome even confessed immediately. But the defense presented something that divided the entire country. They called it the terminal Robin Hood defense. Jerome had terminal cancer. He stole from a billion-dollar casino that makes its money from gambling addiction. He wasn't going to spend the money himself. His motive was restitution for crash victims. Outside the courthouse, support rallies formed. Free Jerome started trending on social media. People debated, is it really theft if you're stealing from a casino to help financial crash victims? The casino's position was zero tolerance. Full prosecution. They wanted the maximum sentence. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced Jerome to 15 years in federal prison. But during sentencing, the judge said something unusual. This is the most ethically complex case I've ever presided over. The defendant committed clear crimes, but his motives reveal a moral tragedy that our society has failed to address. Jerome accepted the sentence quietly. No outburst, no emotion, just a nod. But what happened next, nobody saw coming. 2 months after sentencing, Jerome's attorney filed an unusual motion. The casino's insurance company had already paid out for the losses. Over $20 million in claims. That meant the casino had been made whole. The attorney argued that the recovered $22 million was now legally considered found money. The casino couldn't claim both the insurance payout and the recovered cash. It took 4 months of legal arguments, but eventually a federal judge agreed. The money would be held in federal trust. But Jerome's original redistribution list couldn't be legally executed because it was proceeds of crime. The judge made a Solomon-like ruling. $15 million would go to a 2008 financial crisis victim relief fund. $5 million to children's hospitals. The remaining $2.3 million would cover legal costs and federal restitution requirements. Jerome's plan had actually happened, just through legal channels instead of illegal ones. Before we get to the shocking twist that came after Jerome's death, I need you to do something. Share this video with someone who loves crime stories. Send it to your group chat. Post it on your story. This case is so wild, everyone needs to hear about it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We drop stories like this every day. Alright, here's what happened next. His ex-wife and children couldn't receive direct payments, but they qualified for the relief fund, along with thousands of other crash victims. Jerome Walsh died in federal prison on January 8, 2023. 8 months into his sentence. His daughter visited him twice before he passed. There was no tearful reconciliation, but there was closure. She told reporters later that her father's final words to her were, "I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but maybe this helps someone." The Mirage Palace Casino spent $8.4 million overhauling their security after Jerome's arrest. Maintenance corridors now have 24/7 monitoring. All service carts have GPS tracking. Ceiling tiles in all secure areas are sealed and monitored with motion sensors. Angela Reyes was promoted to Chief of Security. She now consults for casinos nationwide on something she calls invisible threat detection. Training security to watch the people they've trained themselves not to see. The supply closet where Jerome hid the money was sealed permanently. The casino installed a memorial plaque on the door. It reads, "In memory of oversight." Let this remind us, the greatest threats are often in plain sight. The story should have ended there. But last month, I received an anonymous email. The sender was listed as redacted. The subject line was just 2 words. He wasn't alone. The email was short. Jerome wasn't the only one. Check the maintenance staff at Bellagio, Caesar's Palace, MGM Grand. Same pattern. Different person. Still happening. I forwarded it to Angela immediately. She called me 6 hours later. "We're investigating," she said. Quietly. "But you need to see this." She sent me security footage from a casino in Las Vegas. Different casino. Different janitor. But the same behavior. A cleaning cart positioned to block a camera angle. A service cart that takes 7 minutes instead of 4 to reach the counting room. A supply closet with ceiling tiles that look just slightly disturbed. Angela's team has now identified 3 other casinos with similar patterns. They're coordinating with federal authorities, but they're moving carefully. Because if this is a network, if Jerome's method has been replicated, they don't want to spook anyone before they understand the full scope. As of this recording, 3 casino chains have launched internal investigations into their janitorial and maintenance staff. Jerome Walsh was either a criminal genius who operated alone, or he was one cell in a much larger operation. The truth is, we still don't know. But here's what keeps me up at night. Jerome worked at the Mirage Palace for 3 years. During that time, he crossed paths with hundreds of other maintenance workers, janitors, technicians. People who work night shifts at other casinos. People who share break rooms and talk about their jobs. What if Jerome didn't invent this method? What if he learned it from someone else? Or worse, what if he taught it to someone before he got caught? The FBI is now looking into janitorial staff turnover at major casinos across the country. They're analyzing timing patterns, financial discrepancies, and employee movement between properties. Because Jerome proved something that every security expert feared but nobody wanted to admit. The most dangerous people aren't the ones you're watching. They're the ones you've trained yourself not to see. The janitor emptying your trash. The maintenance worker fixing your ceiling tiles. The night cleaner mopping your floors at 3 a.m. These are the people with access to everything. And they're invisible. Jerome Walsh stole $22 million over 3 years, and he hid it in a room that security walked past every single day. He was caught not because of cameras or guards or sophisticated detection systems. He was caught because one auditor noticed that the numbers were 0.4% off. 0.4%. That's the margin between invisible and exposed. Between the perfect crime and federal prison. And somewhere out there, in a casino maintenance corridor at 3 in the morning, someone might be learning that lesson right now. The question isn't whether there are more Jeromes out there. The question is, how long until we notice? If this story blew your mind, check out the video I'm putting on screen right now about another impossible heist that'll leave you speechless. And remember to subscribe because tomorrow's story is even crazier than this one. I'll see you in the next video.